Oh, you said we were going to a place Walt Disney built.
No, Peter, I said supported.
Why should I trust you? You're always tricking me into going places I don't wanna.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure.
I am the Snow White now.
You want a nice shiny red apple to put in that pie? No!
What would the Joker say to Disney in these moments? He'd say, you get what you effing deserve, because Disney knowingly hired the most insufferable feminist girl boss in the history of cinema to play its most iconic Disney princess.
This is not Snow White, but this is the movie that they made, and it's like, oh yeah, she's gonna be a girl boss, she's gonna liberate her kingdom. Well, congratulations, you played yourself. This is what you get when you try to push feminism and bullshit girl boss moves on the people.
You know, I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it, you didn't direct it. You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White.
Right.
You should shut up and do the job.
Now let's get the latest on the disaster that is Disney's reimagining of Snow White.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
There we go. Brian. See you at Disneyland. Bring money.
So much fun it should be illegal. Like copyright infringement. Ho-ho! See you at the game, Joel! Ho-ho!
What if I told you that one of the most beloved fairy tales of all time is on the verge of being destroyed? That a story which enchanted generations, from your grandparents to your kids, is now at the center of a Hollywood disaster so wild, it's got fans, critics, and even Family Guy throwing punches? Would you believe me if I said that Disney, the House of Mouse, is falling apart piece by piece and the cracks are showing in their latest remake of Snow White? This isn't just another movie gone wrong. This is the meltdown of the decade, the kind of chaos where even cartoon shows are calling them out. And the internet is on fire with memes, rage, and disbelief. And right in the middle of it all, Rachel Zegler, the actress who was supposed to be Disney's next big star, but instead, she might have just become the biggest PR disaster they've ever seen. She said the original Snow White was offensive. She called it sexist, irrelevant, and laughed about how they didn't even bother to keep the love story intact. And Disney, they knew what she was saying. They hired her anyway. Now the question everyone's asking is, can Disney survive this? Or is this the moment where they finally went too far? Because in today's video, we're pulling back the curtain on this entire disaster. We're talking about how Family Guy roasted Disney harder than anyone else has dared. We're breaking down Rachel Zegler's shocking rants that made fans furious. We're revealing why Disney erased the 7 dwarfs, and trust me, their replacement, you'll be shaking your head. And most importantly, we're asking, is Disney even listening anymore? Or have they completely lost the magic that made them great? So don't go anywhere, because this is more than just a bad remake. This could be the beginning of Disney's biggest downfall yet. And hey, if you've ever loved a Disney movie, if you've ever felt like they used to care about good stories instead of just politics and profits, then this is a video you need to see. Stick around, because what you're about to learn will make you think twice before trusting the House of Mouse again.
And then I see Butters, and he's like, hey, Eric, you want to see what my mom packed me for lunch? And that's when I start to notice that something's wrong. Everyone I cared about has been systematically replaced.
Let's talk about how this entire firestorm reignited. Because it wasn't just fans online or angry YouTubers calling out Disney this time. No, this time the shot came from one of the biggest, boldest, most savage TV shows out there, Family Guy. Now, we all know Family Guy isn't exactly shy when it comes to mocking pop culture, but their recent episode, it was something else entirely. It wasn't just a joke, it was a surgical strike. Picture this. Peter Griffin, wide-eyed and confused, standing in what's supposed to be the happiest place on Earth. But instead of the magical Disneyland we all know, he's in a dystopian wasteland. Broken animatronic princesses twitching, flickering neon lights barely spelling out Wokeland, and off in the distance, a roller coaster labeled Disney stock flying off the rails, spewing flames. It's brutal, it's relentless, and it's true, because that roller coaster crashing in flames, that's not just a joke. That's a direct hit at Disney's plummeting stock price, which has been falling hard ever since they started pumping out remake after remake. Each one more woke than the last, and each one more disconnected from what fans actually want. But Family Guy didn't stop there. They drove the point home, showing Peter wandering through this sad excuse for a theme park, past broken dreams, failed ideas, and a not-so-subtle message. Disney's obsession with forced inclusivity and corporate pandering is killing the magic. And here's why this scene hit so hard, because it wasn't just a cheap shot for laughs. It was a reflection of what millions of fans have been thinking, but no one in Hollywood wants to say out loud. That Disney, once the gold standard for storytelling, has become a shadow of itself, a place more interested in appeasing Twitter mobs than in creating timeless tales. And when even Family Guy, a show known for fart jokes and nonsense, decides to step up and say, "Hey Disney, you've lost your way," you know things are bad. The internet went wild. Memes flooded Twitter and Reddit, showing Disney's wokeland next to their latest box office flops. YouTubers made entire videos just breaking down that one scene. Even people who don't watch Family Guy were sharing the clip, saying, "Finally, someone said it." Family Guy didn't just roast Disney, they unleashed a new wave of backlash. A reminder that no matter how hard Disney tries to control the narrative, people are watching, people are noticing, and people are tired. And this was only the first spark. Because next, Rachel Zegler took that spark and turned it into a wildfire. Coming up, we dive into Rachel Zegler's shocking rants that turned her from rising star to public enemy #1. What she said about the original Snow White, it's got fans furious, and Disney in full-on damage control mode. Don't go anywhere. It's about to get even messier.
Great. She honestly looks like a homeless person at a bus stop. This is and looking rough. I mean, clearly. If you pass by somebody looking like this, you're like, dude, can I part with the grubby dollar bill in my back pocket? Yeah, totally.
Now, let's talk about the real face of this disaster. The person at the epicenter of the Snow White storm, Rachel Zegler. Because while Disney's strategy has been messy for years, Rachel, she's poured fuel on this fire like no one else. This isn't just a case of a bad casting choice. This is about an actress who has alienated fans, mocked the very story she was hired to represent, and turned what could have been a career-defining role into a spectacle of arrogance. Let's break down exactly what happened. Rachel Zegler, in interview after interview, made it painfully clear that she has zero respect for the original Snow White. She called it offensive. She said the 1937 classic is sexist. She laughed about the original love story, claiming Snow White was being stalked by the prince.
I mean, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. Super weird. So we didn't do that this time.
She dismissed one of the most iconic fairy tales in history as outdated garbage, while smugly boasting about how their version would be better. More empowered, more modern, more, woke. But here's the problem. Fans didn't want a lecture. They didn't want the story rewritten. They didn't ask for Snow White to be turned into a girl boss feminist liberator who needs no man, no dwarves, no romance, no magic. They just wanted a faithful retelling, a respectful nod to the movie that started it all. Because, let's not forget, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs wasn't just any film. It was the foundation of Disney's empire. Without it, there's no Cinderella, no Lion King, no Frozen. And yet, Rachel walks onto the scene with her "I'm here to fix it" attitude, trashing the legacy that gave her this platform in the first place. What makes it worse? She's cashing in. Every morning, she steps onto that set, accepting a fat paycheck from the very company she's trashing. It's the height of hypocrisy, taking money from Disney while publicly disrespecting its legacy. And fans? They're not having it. They see through the fake empowerment, the corporate-approved rebellion, and they're calling her out. You don't bite the hand that feeds you. If you hate the movie so much, why are you in it? This isn't empowerment, it's ego. And the internet? Oh, the internet had a field day. Memes calling her snow woke, clips of her interviews going viral for all the wrong reasons. Fan edits showing Walt Disney face-palming from beyond the grave. Rachel Zegler didn't just upset fans, she became the punchline, and every time she opened her mouth, things got worse. Instead of damage control, she doubled down. Instead of showing humility, she leaned in. Some say it's brave, some say it's honest. But most? They say it's tone-deaf, arrogant, and destructive. But you want to know the wildest part? Rachel Zegler's rants aren't even the most controversial thing about this remake. Because Disney did something that has shocked fans around the world, they erased the Seven Dwarfs. And what they replaced them with? Yeah, brace yourself.
Remaking the movie, they just got rid of the dwarfs. Okay,
but what do they call them?
Why
now,
would they
too?
get rid of the dwarfs, though?
Magical creatures.
but they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures. You actually just went backwards. You actually just erased the dwarfism side of it. The disability, like we're a disability group. You just erased that whole image. The argument should have been from Peter Dinklage. There's power of being on TV. There's power of television. And to put 7 people with dwarfism on camera in a major Disney movie, there's still power there. If the story is offensive, change the story. Don't change the character.
All right, let's talk about the biggest betrayal in this entire mess. The fact that Disney got rid of the 7 dwarfs. Yes, you heard that right. The heart and soul of Snow White, the characters that defined the story, that gave it charm, humor, and heart. Gone. Replaced by magical creatures. So, why would Disney do something so drastic? According to them, it was about avoiding stereotypes. They didn't want to offend anyone. They wanted to be sensitive to how people with dwarfism are portrayed. But here's the twist. Many dwarf actors and advocacy groups weren't offended by the original film. In fact, they wanted to be part of the remake. Even Peter Dinklage, one of the most prominent actors with dwarfism, called out Disney, not for including dwarfs, but for removing them entirely. His point? If the story's outdated, rewrite the story. But erasing representation? That's not progress. That's a step backward. Disney's solution? Include one token dwarf among a group of random mythical creatures that look like they wandered off the set of a B-list fantasy show. Let that sink in. Instead of 7 unique, beloved characters with distinct personalities, Grumpy, Sleepy, Dopey, and the rest, we now get generic magical beings with no connection to the original tale. Fans are asking, why even call it Snow White? What's next? Beauty and the Beast without the Beast? The Little Mermaid without the ocean? The backlash was immediate. You erased dwarfism from the story entirely. This isn't inclusion, it's exclusion dressed up as progress. Disney just didn't want to deal with the conversation. And once again, the internet went to work. Jokes about the dwarfs going on strike, memes of the magical creatures looking comically out of place, fan edits putting the dwarfs back into the film where they belong. At its core, this isn't just about representation, it's about gutting the heart of a story for the sake of optics. The 7 dwarfs weren't just background characters, they were central to Snow White's journey. They brought humor, emotion, and a sense of family that grounded the fairy tale. Without them, the story falls flat. It's like removing the magic and expecting the spell to still work. By trying to avoid controversy, Disney created an even bigger one. They didn't listen to fans. They didn't listen to actors. They didn't even listen to common sense. They chose to rewrite history, thinking no one would care. But guess what? Everyone cares. And this decision, it might just be the nail in the coffin for this remake. But we're not done yet. Because what if I told you this is all part of a bigger crisis inside Disney? One that's been building for years, and now it's exploding. Let's dive into Disney's identity crisis, and why this might be the beginning of the end for the Magic Kingdom as we know it.
This is not Snow White, but this is the movie that they made. And it's like, oh yeah, she's gonna be a girl boss, she's gonna liberate her kingdom. Well, congratulations, you played yourself. This is what you get when you try to push feminism and bullshit girl boss moves on the people.
Let's step back for a moment and look at the bigger picture. Because this isn't just about one bad movie, or one actress who won't stop talking. This is about Disney's identity crisis, a company that used to be the gold standard in imagination, creativity, and storytelling, but now feels more like a corporation chasing social trends and quarterly profits. Remember when Disney movies were about timeless tales, memorable characters, and pure magic? When you watched The Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and felt like you were part of something special? Now, it feels like Disney is more interested in lecturing its audience than entertaining them. Over the last decade, they've gone all in on remakes. But not just any remakes. These are reboots designed to reimagine the classics with modern values. On paper, that sounds noble. Bridging generations, celebrating diversity. Who wouldn't want that? But in practice, it's been a disaster. Forced scripts, hollow characters, box-ticking diversity with no depth, and constant changes to the stories fans grew up loving. Let's talk about what's really driving this. Disney, like many big companies, has been on a diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI spree. They want to show they're progressive, forward-thinking, and in tune with modern culture. But here's where it goes wrong. They're not doing it for storytelling, they're doing it for damage control. After political pressure, after backlash from activists, after scandals, Disney seems more focused on covering themselves than creating magic, changing characters for PR points, adding in themes that don't fit the story, and worst of all, alienating the very fans who made them successful in the first place. And here's the truth no one in Disney wants to admit. Woke doesn't mean good. You can have diverse characters. You can have strong female leads. You can tell stories that matter to today's audience. But if your story is lazy, preachy, and disconnected from what people love, it's going to fail. Fans don't want to be talked down to. They want to be entertained, inspired, and moved. They want great stories first and messages second. Disney's mistake? Putting the message first and the story somewhere way down the list. And let's not forget the financial fallout. Disney's stock is tanking. Their latest movies are flopping. And for a company that used to be unstoppable, this is new territory. The Little Mermaid? Underperformed. Peter Pan and Wendy? Barely made a splash. Lightyear? One of Pixar's biggest bombs. Now Snow White is shaping up to be their biggest gamble yet. And the signs aren't looking good. Bob Iger and the execs might not want to admit it, but fans have had enough. It's like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Disney keeps pushing forward, ignoring the backlash, thinking they know better than the people who actually watch their movies. And that disconnect, that's what's driving people away. But just when you think it can't get worse, we go back to Rachel Zegler, who has somehow turned this PR nightmare into her own personal meltdown. Let's talk about why every time she speaks, things get worse, and how her arrogance might cost Disney hundreds of millions.
This thing is an absolute disaster, all right? An absolute disaster. This is an absolute calamity. This is a catastrophe. This is a tragedy, an apocalypse, an accident, a fatality, a debacle. This is a casualty. This is a cataclysm, a crash, a collapse, an upheaval, a meltdown, a misfortune, Armageddon, doomsday.
All right, we've talked about Disney's bigger issues, but we need to circle back to the person driving this train wreck straight off the cliff. Because Rachel Zegler's PR nightmare, it's more than just bad interviews, it's become a spectacle. And every time she opens her mouth, the situation gets worse. You'd think, after the backlash, after the memes, after the headlines, Rachel would step back, maybe apologize, or at least clarify her comments. But no, she's done the opposite. She's doubling down, pushing her narrative, claiming she's brave, unfiltered, and unapologetic. In one recent appearance, she compared herself to a broken statue, saying, "The winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her." Translation? She's the victim, and we should all just appreciate her bravery. But fans aren't buying it. You're not a broken statue, you're a walking PR disaster. This isn't bravery, it's narcissism. Stop making it about you. And here's the kicker. Every word she says reflects back on Disney. Every interview, every tweet, every offhand comment becomes another headline, another reason for fans to boycott, meme, and mock the entire movie. Disney's PR team is in full panic mode, trying to spin this into something positive. But with Rachel constantly fanning the flames, it's like trying to stop a wildfire with a garden hose. Let's be real. This movie is now toxic. And with rumors that Disney could lose $300 million on this project, you have to wonder, is it even worth it anymore? Will people show up just to see the disaster? Or will they stay home, fed up with the drama? Because while controversy can sell tickets, this much negativity, it can destroy a movie before it even hits theaters. Rachel Zegler might have thought she was being bold, that she was challenging the status quo. But all she's done is show the world what happens when ego, activism, and bad PR collide. And Disney? They're left holding the bag. But we're not done yet. Because there's one more piece to this puzzle. The fans. The people Disney used to care about. And now, they've had enough. Let's talk about the fan rebellion that might finally force Disney to listen, or watch their empire crumble.
So I wonder whether it took Disney to hit rock bottom to lose potentially $300 million for them to bring back what every parent across the world wants, which is child-friendly, Christian value, good entertainment, things for kids again. That's all everybody wants.
Now, let's talk about the real power behind this entire situation. the fans. Because for all of Disney's corporate power, all the billions they've made, all the theme parks, streaming services, and merchandise, none of it matters without the fans. And right now, fans are fighting back. Across Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, and every corner of the internet, people are standing up and saying enough is enough. They're done with the pandering, done with the lazy remakes, done with the disrespect to the stories they grew up loving, and they're making their voices heard. Hashtags like #NotMySnowWhite are trending. Petition campaigns to boycott the movie are gaining steam. YouTube is flooded with reaction videos, breakdowns, and rants calling Disney out for what this is, a betrayal of their own legacy. It's not just about Snow White anymore. It's about everything Disney has been doing for the past decade. And now, the pushback is louder than ever. So what has Disney done about this? Honestly, not much. They've issued the same bland corporate statements they always do, talking about progress, values, and moving forward. But they're ignoring the real issue, that the magic is gone, that the fans don't trust them anymore. Because here's the thing. When you treat your audience like they don't matter, like they're just ATMs, like they should shut up and accept whatever you give them, eventually, they're going to walk away. And Disney? They're on the edge of that cliff right now. If Disney doesn't change course, if they don't start listening, they could lose more than just a few bad box office numbers. They could lose their cultural dominance. Once upon a time, Disney was untouchable. They were the dream makers, the storytellers, the heart of childhood for millions.
Bob Iger is extremely incompetent. He is very stubborn as a CEO. He lies to both the shareholders and the customers, hence why I like to call him Bob Liger. And the lies continue. We know that Bob Iger is continuing to go on the damage control train related to Snow White.
Now, they're just another corporation chasing trends, chasing headlines, and forgetting why people loved them in the first place. And the cost of that? It's more than money. It's relevance. It's trust. It's the soul of what made Disney special. But here's the question. Can Disney recover? Can they pull out of this nosedive and remember what made them great? Can they stop chasing controversy and start chasing great stories again? Can they respect their fans instead of lecturing them? Can they bring back the magic? It's possible, but only if they listen. Because the fans, they've spoken. And if Disney won't hear them, they'll find other places to spend their time, their money, and their hearts. So here we are, a Snow White remake without the dwarfs, an actress who won't stop mocking the story, a company that seems more interested in corporate PR than creating anything magical. This isn't just a bad movie, it's a warning sign, a cautionary tale for what happens when a company forgets the people who made them great. But here's the twist. You get to decide how this story ends. Will you still support Disney? Will you give this movie a chance? Or are you done with woke remakes and ready to move on? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear from you. What do you think Disney needs to do to get back on track? Can they ever win your trust again? And hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned, because this isn't the end of the Disney drama. Not even close. Stay tuned, stay safe, and stay informed, because there's more coming. More meltdowns, more backlash, and more stories that need to be told. And as always, thanks for watching.